if you want to chill playing PoE 2, you don't want to worry about anything, you are a low APM player, hey, play an Infernalist minion build. Everything is going to be alright, my man. You will manage, I promise. You will manage. Everything will be fine. Hey guys, I have a video here from Sirgog that is called Pre-0.2.0 Meta Recap. What were the best builds? And I really want to watch this video because I like Sirgog a lot. He's really analytical about a whole lot of things. I like his insight, and this is a cool topic to understand how was the meta and how it can change depending on what GGG does in the upcoming patch. So let's just do it, dude.
Oh, howdy all, grab yourself a drink. It is time for some Path of Exile 2 discussion. Today, we're going to be talking about the Path of Exile 2 meta so far. This is the meta that's developed over the nearly 4 months since early access began. We're going to be taking a look at the top performers in that time, and we're also going to be having a look at some of the hidden gems that might dodge the nerf bat when 0.2.0's patch notes are hopefully released in a couple of days' time. Now, everything in Path of Exile 2 is going to change in a few days' time. This is going to be a little bit of a look back, partly for nostalgia reasons, but it can also help you identify any builds that might be hidden gems at the moment, might be flying a little bit under the radar, and might be pushed into prominence if everything better than them ends up getting nerfed. Or alternately, it can also help point out some things that no one's managed to make work yet, and if those get small buffs, then chances are that's not going to be enough to make them good. Of course, if they end up getting massive buffs, those sorts of things can end up being catapulted either into the center of the meta, or at least forward enough that they end up feeling like compelling choices to play. Now, I'm going to talk quickly about the methodology that I use whenever I'm...
By the way, how crazy it is, dude, like, I am hyped as fuck that in just 1 week, we are going to be playing the new patch. Brother, please give me the druid. Please give me the druid. If you are watching this in the future, you already know if we got the druid, dude. But yes, this is interesting. Like, we kind of know what the top builds are or whatever, but he mentioned something really interesting in there. Like, if they don't buff anything, that I really doubt it, they are going to buff stuff. But you nerf stuff, there is other stuff that is going to take that place, right? That is going to be brought up to prominence because that is what you need. Do we know already what those builds are? Maybe, I don't know, Poisonous Concoction, Shattering Concoction, are builds that are strong but are not S tier. Will they become the S tier builds? We don't know. And there is also other stuff like new items or new activities, new ways of doing things that can affect the meta in a form that is even beyond the nerfs and buffs. You know, like nerf and buffs are a part of the balancing, but the game itself is another part of the balancing. Like, what build is able to do the content in an efficient manner? That is also something that shapes the meta.
I'm assessing the meta in Path of Exile 1 or 2. Grinding Games publish a ladder. Path of Exile 1, it's top 15,000 players by XP. Path of Exile 2, it's only 1,000. But in Path of Exile 1, this gives a lot of information about those characters. In Path of Exile 2, all it gives you is the character name and the Ascendancy class that they're playing and their current exact XP count. However, Grinding Games are working on an API that's not yet completely finished that will allow players to be able to look up other characters. People can opt out of this, but in Path of Exile 1, it lets you look up characters just based on their character name and then see all the gems they've got equipped, see all the items that they've got equipped, see their exact passive tree, and so on and so forth.
Yeah.
Now, there is a data aggregation website, PoE2.ninja, that has early access to this.
Awesome tool, by the way. If you are interested to really see what the top players are doing, I recommend going to PoE2 Ninja. And then there you will find out that the 100 top players for each class are playing the same shit. And you will see it with actual solid data and not just intuition or a feeling. You will actually see that it is this way.
This API. The API is not yet at a point that it can be released to the general public, but it is there for PoE2.ninja, and as a result, that website has a whole bunch of information, far more than you can get from the ladder. Ninja also picks a few people that are not currently on the ladder to track as well, people that have been on the ladder in the past, and people that are actively involved in trading and are playing on high-level characters. Because of this, I have to cut off somewhere, and I've decided I'm cutting off at level 97 and above characters. So everything for the rest of this video is only considering how those builds have been going on level 97 plus characters.
Okay,
I want
okay.
to start by taking a look at the top standout uniques of early access. Now, I am going to deliberately exclude what I term modal uniques. These are things like Megalomaniac, where there's just 1,000,001 different versions of the same unique.
Yeah,
Megalomaniac is a really good item. It's used by a very large number of people, but one that's perfect for a Hand of Wisdom and Action crossbow user is not going to be of any use to someone that is playing a Spark and Archmage character. In that sense, I'd sort of consider those to be separate items. However, it's a bit unclear where you draw the line as to what's a modal unique and what isn't. I'm counting Prism of Belief as being modal, I'm counting Megalomaniac as being modal, but I'm not counting Moroya Invictus. If you think Moroya Invictus is too much of a modal unique, then you can always disregard it, and then you'll have the top 9 standout uniques instead of the top 10.
Okay.
And 91% of level 97 and above characters are using Ingenuity. More on that.
Brother, Ingenuity, like, there is no way in hell they don't nerf Ingenuity, right? Like, it is the best build, and there is nothing to do about it. Like, if you want to be powerful, you need an Ingenuity. It doesn't matter the build, it doesn't matter anything. There is not another build that comes even close. There is no way in hell that a rare build with 6 fucking affixes that are cracked is even on par with fucking Ingenuity, brother. There is nothing to do. Ingenuity is the best fucking build in the game. Like, if they don't nerf it, they will have to introduce an alternative that is equally as powerful. I don't know.
Belt in a sec. 77% are using Melting Maelstrom, the unique flask. 45% are using Moroya Invictus. The main reason that I didn't...
Moroya Invictus is another that everyone uses. But look at the drop off. Look at the drop off in the percentages. 91% Ingenuity. The next one is the flask with 77%. And then Moroya Invictus, that everybody uses it also. Well, you say everybody, but it is only 45%, right? So there is a big drop off, dude. But Ingenuity, 91%, like everybody's using this shit, dude.
Moroya Invictus to be modal is that there's a couple of different versions that are very overwhelmingly used, particularly ones that grant attributes and tri-elemental res based upon the number of socketed soul cores. Those are the ones that tend to be the most popular, and they're generally the ones that are used by almost everyone. There are exceptions. Some people prefer Spirit, but ultimately it's not like all 21 versions of it are being used equally. Hand of Wisdom in Action comes in next at 40%. Controlled Metamorphosis comes in next at also at 40%. Pillar of the Cage God, 32%. Temporalis, 24%. More on that one later. Astromentis, 23%.
Brother, Temporalis being used in the 24%. Isn't that like a huge number considering how hard it is to get fucking Temporalis, dude? Like, it shouldn't be lower, right? Maybe he's going to talk about the dupe that occurred where everybody was getting Temporalis. I don't know. Because it is an item that not that many people should have. But I don't know, since we are talking in here about the very tippity top of players, maybe in that case it is okay, because yes, in the top tippity top of player, if you are talking about 1,000 players, it is okay that 200 players of them have Temporalis because they are the best ones. So I don't know how to judge this. So I will have to wait where he is actually going to talk about that.
This is the expensive part of the Hand of Wisdom in Action Astromentis combo, or the Pillar of the Cage God Astromentis combo, or using all three of them together. Mohoxidal's Machination comes in at 9th with 22%, and Trample Toe comes in at 10th with 20%. More on that one later as well, because that's not a unique that I think many people expected to see on this list, but there's a particularly broken use case
I
for
didn't
it.
expect to see it in them.
So let's start with the most important of these, and it's not the most used one, Ingenuity. It is Hand of Wisdom in Action. Now, I know what you're thinking. This is easily dismissed as, that's just some level 52 item. That's not very good. However, this is the defining gear piece for most characters that deal weapon damage with attacks. The amount of lightning damage that this adds to attacks is just off the planet compared to anything else in the game. It's quite simply the best item in the game. Nothing else comes remotely close. It is an affordable item. That's because it's not super rare. But this is still the most powerful item in Path of Exile in 0.1.0, and it will be interesting to see what versions of it exist after 0.2.0 comes along. Ingenuity is next, and this item single-handedly excludes enormous...
I saw Drinkor give his opinion on how they should fix Hands of Wisdom and Action, and he just said what you need to do is convert it to a weapon. Instead of being a gloves, a gauntlets, a hands, make it a weapon. Because that way you then can't combo it with the Pillar of the Cage God, and that will be like the nerf right there without having to actually nerf the stats. And I think that is a good approach. That is definitely a good approach, dude. I don't know if they are going to do it, but it is a good approach.
Numbers of items from even the remotest consideration of being equipped. There is no such thing as a merit tier belt in Path of Exile 2 at the moment, because instead you would simply make your character better by removing it and replacing it with ingenuity. There are of course exceptions, but not very many of them. That's why more than 90% of very high level characters are using this belt. On top of that, this belt being so overwhelmingly powerful means that rings that don't work with it, for example, Original Sin, these end up being extremely unpopular. Now, when I say it doesn't work, it's not like Original Sin explicitly bricks ingenuity. It's just the one stat on Original Sin that you can't get anywhere else, the 100% conversion. This doesn't benefit from being scaled up to 180% or whatever the exact number ends up being. Temporalis is next. Temporalis had a cheating problem. This is intended to be like the Path of Exile 1 item Original Sin, that Path of Exile 2's Original Sin is loosely based upon. This was intended to be an extreme chase item, something that was going to be considerably harder to source in trade than a Mirror of Kalandra would be. However, there was a major item duplication exploit with this. I touched on it in an earlier video. It's all patched, but the damage is done. There's an enormous amount of these in circulation in a way that won't exist in the future. So Temporalis is going to be much rarer in future economies, and as a result, some of the builds that currently use it will be much more niche in the future than they were in 0.1.0. I don't think Temporalis will make top 10 lists of uniques that are being equipped, because I don't think there'll be enough of them in circulation in the future for that to be the case. Next, we have Trample Toe that needs to be discussed. Now, Trample Toe is the 10th most frequently equipped unique item, and this is likely to surprise a lot of people. This had some silly interactions that were discovered and popularized reasonably late in 0.1. It wasn't being used at all, then suddenly it exploded in popularity in a very short period of time. It is completely broken in conjunction with Frostwall and Temporalis. This is an interaction that's very unlikely to survive the patch notes. This is not otherwise a good item, and as a result, have a look what exactly happens to the Trample Toe setups, but I don't expect them to be a factor in 0.2.0 at all. Now, I've been talking about unique items that have been dominant, but let's talk about the other thing that's been really dominant, and this is Archmage. Archmage defines builds. It allows you to scale damage.
There is no way in hell they don't nerf Archmage, by the way. In conjunction with the Heralds, Archmage is going to receive a nerf. Like, the problem is how big of a nerf it will be, because I have heard people saying that you nerf it by like 50% and it will still be bullshit. I don't know if that is true. I am just saying that there are some people that say that just the nature of Archmage is always going to be powerful. And maybe that is fine, I don't know.
At the expense of forcing you to build a lot of mana recovery into your build, and also forcing a number of other changes onto your build. The thing is that Archmage is just unbelievably good, to the extent that it's just far better than everything else that you can do when it comes to scaling spells. Although there's a few different builds that use Archmage, and a few different builds that use Hand of Wisdom in action, and only one build that uses Trample Toe, although it can be played on a number of ascendancies, 89% of builds are using one of these three methods in order to deal damage to enemies. Okay, so that's a quick look at offensive archetypes. Let's have a look at defensive archetypes next. 59% of players are using Chaos Inoculation, 55% Mind Over Matter, 31% Eldritch Battery, 23% Eternal Youth.
So as you can see here on those things, if you don't know them by name, they are basically all of them both defenses through energy, shield, and mana. One of them makes your mana your life. One of them makes you not take chaos damage but have a bunch of energy shield. One of them makes energy shield mana, and the other one makes that the flask recharges energy shield instead of mana, instead of life. So as you can see, basically nobody's trying to build fucking life and fucking armor and evasion, because energy shield and mana is the best fucking thing. So yeah, that is what's happening. Your defensive layers in Path of Exile right now is energy shield and mana, basically.
And here's all of those keystones in case you're not familiar with them all. In terms of other defensive setups, the number of characters that have a large amount of life investment, I'm defining this as 3,000 plus for the moment, this is only 18%. The number of players with a high energy shield character, defining this as 6,000 plus, 20%. The number of people with a high mana setup, which is 6,000 plus again, 25%. It's worth noting that because of Chaos Inoculation, you can play a character that completely disregards life and that puts all their investment into energy shield. And because of Mind Over Matter, you can play a character that disregards both life and energy shield, but places heavy investment into mana. Of course, in all of these cases, you've got to find some way to recover that resource, and Eternal Youth is a popular way to manipulate how you're able to do that. So what about armor and evasion investment? High armor, defining that as 6,000 or more, is less than 1% of the player base. There's pretty good reasons for this. Armor is not in a very good state in 0.1.0.
It sucks.
High evasion rating characters, again defining as 6,000 plus, 4% of the player base. So this is not a trivial amount, but it's also not a large amount. And then there's a small number of people who are using ultra high evasion ratings, 20,000 or more, but these are almost all using the Queen of the Forest unique chess piece, which is an extremely strong chess piece, and one that's only worth using if you're making such an enormous investment. So let's take a quick look at all 12 Ascendancies. What was there that was super hyped before launch? Did it live up to that launch a couple of days into the league? And how did it go later on? I want to start with the Titan. The Titan pre-launch was modestly hyped, and I'm calling it B tier. That's a bit subjective. You might disagree with that, but it's something of that sort of.
Yeah, people were, well, he's probably going to say it, but people were hyped for the Titan because of that node that is behind the backpack that doubles up your small nodes in the tree, right? And it is a really powerful node, but in reality, it was not that powerful because everything else about the warrior fucking sucks dick. I don't want more defenses, I want more damages. I want to be a glass cannon or the new warrior ascendancy is absolutely good and the fixed armor. I understand that people like the glass cannon build archetype, I don't know. You can kind of do it, right? But because you can go a lot of damage. But I like more the balanced archetype, right? Where I don't do as much damage, but I also tank, but I am not pure tankiness. I also want to do a little bit of damage. I like where you are like a warrior. You tank, you attack, everything is fine. And that is basically not possible right now in PoE, brother. So I believe it is, you can build a glass cannon build, but you can't build a tank build. And that is bullshit. It should be there should be something for everybody. What's armor? It doesn't exist, dude. If 0.2 fixes the armor problem, I play in attack. Hopefully Druid has a tank ascendancy. It should because the Druid is strength with intelligence, right? So the Druid should be able to build tankiness. And by the way, well, you guys know that is my favorite part of the tree, like the part that is strength, intelligence, pure strength, and strength agility. Like those are the classes that I like the most. So let's see what happens. That is why I am so hyped about the Druid or the Templar being released, because we don't have anything on that part of the tree. That is the only part of the tree we are missing, the two classes. Every other part of the tree has at least one, but the strength with intelligence doesn't have one, and that takes away something from the strength side. So we only have two classes on the strength side. That is also bullshit. So that is one of the reasons I am hyped for the Druid. Yeah, the whole reason glass cannon builds work is because the game is unbalanced, it's in early access. Yep. I love playing tank builds in PoE 1. I really hope the armor problem is fixed. I have heard, I don't know, but I have heard that you can build tankiness in PoE 1 to the point, like you go full tankiness, 0 damage, to the point that nothing kills you. Nothing can ever kill you. Like, it takes a lot of investment, but it is possible. In PoE 2, like, I can give you infinite currency and you won't do it. It is not possible. And this is still be the first time we see a Druid in PoE. That shit looks so cool, brother. I want my Wolf Druid, dude. I want my Wolf Druid. I know that the tanky part will probably be the bear, but it doesn't matter. I want my Wolf Druid, dude.
Ballpark. Its early performance was very much B tier, but then it's fallen off late. And I would say that it wound up in C tier. In terms of standouts in the way it's built, every single high-level Titan, there are no exceptions to this. Every single one of them takes hulking form. This is the 4-point node that adds...
Like, if you are playing a Titan to pick hulking form, that is a problem, right? Like, that is a problem in the balance of the ascendancy. If you are picking the ascendancy, unless it is a mandatory node, like the Blood Mage that has a mandatory node that you have to pick it when you pick the Ascendancy, unless it is like that, you shouldn't be like picking a whole Ascendancy just because one node. And there is no other reason to pick Tyrant if it is not to pick Hulking Form. Like, you pick Tyrant to pick Hulking Form. That is the whole reason to pick it, dude. It is insane, dude. I know it sounds crazy, but I want to see a Druid Ascendancy where you just turn into a big fucking dragon and start flamethrowing everything. It will be cool. I don't think that they are going to give us a fucking dragon. But now that you are talking about it, they are probably, I don't know, but the same way you have the demon form for the witch. Maybe they keep one of the transformations for the druid behind an ascendancy. That only that ascendancy can transform into that thing. Maybe they do something like that. Maybe with a tree or with a special animal. I don't know. Ascendancies are super underpowered. Some ascendancies have a 0.9 pick rate that shouldn't be a thing. The Acolyte of Shayula, nobody plays that shit. And the people that play it the same way as a normal monk. Like, there is not like a special build for them. Or they play Gazarro, that for that shit you play a ranger, dude.
50% to the magnitude of small passives. This is incredibly good, and ultimately, whilst it's not enough to make melee strong, it's the strongest thing you can get if you decide to force melee anyway. Top skills here, Hammer of the Gods. Hammer of the Gods is the most used skill on a Titan, and it is there for doing one-shots to big bosses. Mostly this is for one-trick pony builds that aim to just literally one-shot delete boss monsters, but there are other ways that people use it as well. Herald of Ice is the other skill that's heavily used. Heralds are also something that's really, really strong, and a lot of players are expecting that they might not be quite as strong once the next patch comes along. That said, it might be Hand of Wisdom in action that takes the bullet for them. Warbringer is next, and pre-launch this was a little bit less hype than the Titan. Its early performance was less than the Titan, and its final performance has been pretty terrible. It's been dead last of all 12 ascendancies. Only 20 characters have taken a...
This was my first ascendancy, by the way, guys. So now you know that I am an off-meta Andy, where my first class was a warrior with ascendancy Warbringer. That was my very first character ever on PoE 2. And I did a homebrew build, rolling and slamming with Thunder, dude. All the way up to tier 17 or whatever watch it is on the end game, dude.
Warbringer to level 97. Of those, only one has made it to level 99. That player has made it to level 100, but they are the only person who has exceeded 98 on this ascendancy. There are no standout options. People are playing this just because they like the playstyle, or because they wanted to be the first and only level 100 Warbringer. Next up we have the Deadeye. This was not hyped very much pre-launch, but it was the strongest performer bar none early on. When I say S tier here, literally 1/3 of the ladder on day 3 was Deadeye's. And that's because the Deadeye is incredibly strong early on and also is one of the easier ascendancies to build. Later on, it's continued to perform.
Like, if you are a noob, or you don't like to do stuff and you want to play chilling, you play two builds. One is the minion build, Infernalist, the witch with minions, and the other one is the Deadeye with lightning arrow. You are just chilling. Everything is going to be fine, dude. It is like playing Beastmaster Hunter in WoW. Everything is going to be fine, dude. You're supposed to stand on the platform in the sequence, Maven highlights. Okay, that is a memory game. Okay. Yeah, they will get there. Oh, of course they will get. They will 100% get there. We are talking about the current state, right?
Adequately, and I'm calling it a B tier overall performer. Not quite one of the best options, but not that far behind either. Standout build options here, definitely scaling bow damage through Hand of Wisdom in action. Hand of Wisdom in action will just consistently be better than any other way of scaling attack damage in the game. The other thing that Hand of Wisdom in action does is it makes items that you would otherwise probably not consider on a Deadeye, such as Astromentus, it makes them worth considering as well.
Yep.
What about the other ranged attack ascendancy, the Pathfinder? The Pathfinder was interesting. It was probably the least hyped of the ascendancies beforehand. It's one that's ported over from Path of Exile 1, so
I like the Pathfinder because of the fantasy, you know, like all these throwing bombs and concoctions and bullshit. I think it is cool. And like, she's based around a survival ranger. I like the survival hunter in WoW. So yes, the Pathfinder, I don't know. I like the aesthetic, the theme of the Ascendancy. You know, it is not the same, more boring. Oh, bullshit! You can do crazy shit with Pathfinder, and I like it because of that.
Didn't have shiny and new appeal, but it also didn't have anything that jumped out as looking fantastic either. Very little pre-launch hype, but it did perform pretty well early on. So I had it in C tier for its day 3 performance. It was doing pretty fine. What about later on? It sort of stayed in C tier. It didn't do any better, it didn't do any worse. It's a bit of a stretch to call this a standout, but the best way to play a Pathfinder definitely seemed to be Dual Heralds, Ice and Thunder, with, of course, Hand of Wisdom in action. This would then allow you to scale either bow damage or sometimes even concoction damage reasonably well. Next up we have the Chronomancer. A lot of people were talking about this prior to the launch of the game, and its early performance was terrible. It actually did pick up a little bit over time, but there's no true standout single player builds here. Instead, what we saw was curse support builds for party play. These were not a true standout. There's not a lot of them going around, but they definitely work reasonably well.
I definitely think that in terms of coolness, guys, you have to understand. I do like my characters being powerful, of course. But I prefer coolness over efficiency and power, you know? Like, if my character that is cool, or that I think is cool, is powerful enough to do the content, I am more satisfied with that than with a super powerful character that I think is lame, you know? I value coolness over everything. I think the Chronomancer is cooler than the Stormweaver, basically. Like, if you are already playing as sorcerers, that you shouldn't. Sorcerers is stupid. Fuck mages, fuck wizards, fuck sorcerers, fuck all that shit. But you are already playing a mage, a wizard, or whatever the fuck that is called. If you are choosing between a Stormweaver and Chronomancer, I understand that a Stormweaver is more powerful, but Chronomancer is cooler, for sure. The extra passive skill points in Pathfinder is cool. It is really cool, dude. Lol, the one I tried, F tier, lol. Yes, you like that was your first class, Rizzo. Like, the Chronomancer was your first ever character. Hey, better than the Stormweaver. Fuck Stormweavers. All my homies hate the Stormweaver.
Without those builds, the Chronomancer would actually be joining the Warbringer and the later Acolyte of Chayula all the way down in F tier.
Acolyte of Chayula, nobody likes it.
So from a very unsuccessful caster archetype to a very successful one, we have the Stormweaver next. Pre-launch, this was actually hyped quite a lot, and it lived up to but did not exceed the hype early on. It was either second or third most popular ascendancy early on, but it was a long way behind the Deadeye. However, late performance for this was absolutely S tier. This is the most popular ascendancy late in the 0.1.0 meta.
Yep.
And it's because Archmage is simultaneously extremely good and extremely well suited to the Stormweaver. Archmage is just absolutely dominant here. 86% of all Archmage characters have elected to play as a Stormweaver. 89% of all players who are playing a Stormweaver have elected to use Archmage. So you can see there's a tremendous amount of overlap there. The small number of people that aren't using Archmage, they're pretty much using the Trample Toe and Frostwall tech, but building that onto the Stormweaver rather than some of the other ascendancies it's played on.
All my
if
homies hate that
nerfed,
shit.
Then this build could remain dominant, or it could become a dead ascendancy, or it could go anywhere in between. We'll have to see on that once the patch notes come out. The Witch Hunter is next, and this
is another ascendancy that I thought was cool in theory, right? You are the Witch Hunter. By the way, you know that every character has like a one-liner, like a flavor text. When every ascendancy has a flavor text. So far, for the ascendancies that are right now in the game, Witch Hunter has my favorite flavor text. The flavor text for the Witch Hunter says, there is something very wrong in the world, and you are going to fix it. Motherfucker, brother. Goosebumps, dude. The world is fucked up, and I am going to fix it by killing all these motherfuckers. This is a game, by the way, Witch Hunter in Path of Exile 2. Don't take it out of context. I don't know, it is cool. But then, when you play the Ascendancy, it is underpowered, right? We know that it is underpowered because Youngling Legionnaire is better. But it is not only that. I think that the notes themselves, what they provide to you, they don't scream Witch Hunter to me. Like, when I hear that I am going to play a Witch Hunter, I imagine something very different than what I get when I actually choose the nodes. Like, the only one that is cool is the when you get the Calling Strike. Okay, that makes sense. Maybe the one that explodes the corpses. Maybe. But there is nothing more in there. Brother, if I am a Witch Hunter, I am imagining fire stuff. I am burning witches in the stake. I don't know. But I don't know. It is not that cool as I imagine it could be. I love Chrono because the idea of time stop and reversing time is fucking awesome. Exactly. I agree with that, Meteor, dude. I agree with that. And that is why I think that Chronomancer is cooler than fucking Stormweaver. That is every mage in every fucking game. Look, I throw ice. Look, I throw lightning. Oh, how exciting. And I understand that this archetype needs to exist. But, brother, I don't want to keep doing this shit. So, Chronomancer is cool because of that.
Fell off quite a lot late, not necessarily because it was a bad ascendancy, but just because it felt like the Gemling Legionnaire did everything better once you were well set up. Pre-launch, this was moderately hyped, and I'm putting it in B tier there. Early performance, so we're talking day 3 here. Again, it actually lived up to this hype. It was doing pretty well for itself, and I would call it B tier then. But later on, really fell off hard and wound up in D tier, and it's one of the lower performers in D tier as well.
It is.
This is mostly played as a Hand of Wisdom in action crossbow build. So again, you're seeing the gloves are absolutely dominant, but this seems to do the Hand of Wisdom in action attack setup just a little bit worse than other alternatives did in terms of its overall success that players have been having with it. Gemling Legionnaire is next, and pre-launch, this was not super hyped, probably a B tier. Early performance was not very good on this class. We'll say a C tier, but its late performance was second best overall. So I'm calling this S- or A+ tier. It's really kind of hard. I don't want to put it in the same tier as the Stormweaver, but I also want to convey that with this tiering that it is above the Invoker. And again, this is mostly played as a Hand of Wisdom in action character. But when you think Gemling Legionnaire and you see the artwork for it, you probably think, oh, this is going to be a crossbow character. That can be done, but it's not the main way people play this. The primary way is using Pillar of the Caged God. This very common...
And let's be honest, guys, from the inception of the class, when they announced the Gemling Legionnaire and what it does, you knew that this was going to be a class that was not entirely focused around the crossover, but it was more of a jack of all trades, right? Because that is the design of the class. Like, go crazy doing shit with this class because all the gems get buff and bonuses or whatever. That is the point of the Gemling Legionnaire, right? And I am not against that existing. It is just that Witch Hunter sucks and Gemling Legionnaire is the better choice. And in the current iteration of Gemling Legionnaire, this is a class that is going to abuse. If a stat stacking build is powerful, this class is going to get the best version because they have the buff to that, right? Not only to the gems, but also to the stats. So, I don't know. They are going to probably balance that. I don't know. Or maybe they want it to be that way. So, hey, if you want to go crazy with the stats, go Gemling Legionnaire and it is fine. Yeah, but you're not thinking about flavor and roleplay when you're mapping. You think about it less, but you still do it in the way that it is not that you say, oh, I am a Witch Hunter, I am so awesome. But in the way that if you don't like your character, you are... Like, I am going to do 100 maps with this character, throwing this fucking skill. If I don't think it is cool, if I am not having fun throwing this skill, there is no way in hell I do 100 maps with this motherfucker. Because I don't think it's cool. I will not have the same fun as if I think it is cool, you know? And power is also in there. Like, okay, I think the character is cool, but I enter the map and I die immediately. That is also not fun. I am aiming for that slot in the middle where I am powerful enough to do the content and I think my character is cool. Now I'm having fun, you know.
Common unique staff is incredibly good in conjunction with Hand of Wisdom in action, and in particular in conjunction with the very expensive Astromentus. This setup is the best of all of the Astromentus setups that exist, and it is playable without the super expensive, super rare unique amulet.
Yep.
Next,
I don't have Astromentus, everything was fine.
Now, the Invoker was interesting. It started out as the most hyped class pre-launch. It then fell off pretty hard. It did not perform up to the expectations people had of it in the very early days. But since then, it's improved, and it's now the third top overall ascendancy out of all of the options. Invoker was one of those things that was just tough to optimize, but that got done, and now it's the third most popular endgame ascendancy.
Yep.
Again though, when it comes to build,
guess what they are doing? Guess what they are doing? Also start stacking. Because everyone is doing it.
diversity, there's not a huge amount of it at the moment. It is either going to be using a Hand of Wisdom and Action setup
exactly.
or a Trample Toe setup. That is overwhelmingly how people are scaling their damage if they're playing an Invoker in Path of Exile 2.0.1.0. And from the very successful Monk archetype to the slightly less successful Acolyte of Chayula. Pre-launch hype for this was probably about C tier. There's a cool idea to it, but people were aware from the original teasers of the Ascendancy that it didn't look like it was very strong. However, early performance by day 3, it was terrible. It was F tier, and it was the actual outright worst performer then. It has ticked up in the days since from very bottom position to second bottom position, so you can say it's had a little bit of an improvement there. But just like the Warbringer, there is only one person who has taken an Acolyte of Chayula to level 99 or above. And again, they did take it to level 100. Are there any standout options for the Acolyte of Chayula?
That dude is or is a Giga Chat or has no fucking life, dude. What the fuck? Level 100 on the Acolyte of Chayula. Bro, cook, dude.
No, there are not. That said, keep your eye on this. I'm sure grinding your games are a...
By the way, I joke with having no fucking life because people joke about that. But I have never actually liked... I am going on a tangent in here. I have actually never liked that expression. I don't even know why I said it, because yes, people say it. But I have never liked it because you have a life. You are just doing with your life this, right? You are choosing to play the game because you enjoy it or whatever. I don't know what is the circumstances. But you have a life and you are using it on going to level 100 with the Acolyte of Chayula.
Aware that this class needed some help. So, who knows? Maybe it's got it. Or maybe it'll end up being left out again. And next we have the Blood Mage. The Blood Mage is in a really interesting spot. This was super hyped before the game started. Then we found out the details of the Blood Mage Ascendancy, and it didn't look so great. The first node, Sanguimancy, is a net drawback, and you really had to invest 2 points into the Life Leech nodes just in order to break...
Brother, that shit sucks so much. Like, my third or fourth character was the Blood Mage with the Frost Wall, Firewall shed where you destroy the Frost Wall. It is a fun build, by the way. I like it. But that shit sucks so much that when you are leveling, people advise you to not take the Ascendancy the first time. Like, you ascend to Blood Mage, but you don't pick the keystone that you can pick, like your first notable when you ascend, because it is a drawback. It sucks. So you wait until you ascend again to get the 4 points at the same time, and now you take it. How stupid is that? Like, this shit is so bad, and you have to take it, that you don't take it when you ascend. That is stupid as fuck, dude. Like, they have to fix that shit, dude.
Break even, and then it felt like your first 4 points only really got you back to where an unascended witch would be, and after that you did have 2 good points that you could spend, but that's going to take a little while to get, and even when you've got them, they're not necessarily as good as getting 4 points in a different ascendancy. Early performance for this build was derisory. Solidly in F tier, this was one of the worst performers early on. However, it's picked up a lot since then, wound up in B tier in late performance. The thing that's worth noting though, this has been hard carried by the Trample Toe interaction. If we remove those characters that are using Trample Toe from Blood Mage consideration, performance is closer to that of Pathfinder, i.e. it's pretty close to the dumpster, but not quite in it. Standout options though, there is a genuinely impressive critical strike focused Detonate Dead Blood Mage. It's flown under the radar quite a bit. I think it's a really good setup, and it's something to definitely consider if you're looking to play a Blood Mage in 0.2.0. And finally we have the Infernalist. Pre-launch, this was hyped quite...
Will they fix the third gate in 0.2.0? They are not going to fix that shit, brother. They are going to carry this plot hole forever. This plot hole is going to be here forever. Just get used to it, dude. Oh yes, I've been watching Pink World play Dota 2, and that game looks so different from League. Brother, Dota 2. Well, you watched me play the other day, right? The only ever match that I have ever played in a stream, on a stream for Dota 2, you watch me play it. And yes, it looks a lot different from League of Legends, dude. Like, you have to get used to it, dude. You have to get used to it because it looks different. But I fucking love Dota 2, brother. That fucking game basically ruined my life because I spent too much fucking time playing that shit.
A bit, I'd put it in A tier. Its early performance was also A tier. Late performance has ticked back a little bit, down to B tier. But the thing that's important, Infernalists are usually in this weird spot where they're a minion build that's forced into the weird position of using Trench Timber in one hand and a Scepter in the other. And this is because plus gem levels are so powerful that you can't skip a large source of it. That said, this gives them a large boost to the amount of minion gem levels they can get. There are no individual minion gems that eclipse all of the others so far. There's a wide range of different setups that people are using, and the Infernalist is pretty good with all of them. This is a strong all-around class, and it's something that I think is worth a serious...
If you want to chill playing PoE 2, you don't want to worry about anything, you are a low APM player, hey, play an Infernalist minion build. Everything is going to be alright, my man. You will manage. I promise. You will manage. Everything will be fine. Are you going to play No Rest for the Wicked? It's funny seeing you get lost. Brother, I really want to play that shit, but with everything that is happening for PoE 2, it is like I don't have time for that, right? I should probably play before the game comes out. Before the PoE 2 patch comes out, right? Because you know when you are 100% going to watch me play No Rest for the Wicked? When the new patch for them drops, that I believe will be in the 30th of April. But maybe I should like beat the game before that, right? So I am more used to the game and I enjoy better the new content. I don't know. What do you guys think? If you guys have played No Rest for the Wicked, should I beat the game first? Should I wait for the patch? How should I do this? But I really like the game. I have to tell you, Russell Westbrook, dude. I am really fucking liking the game. When I just finished the tutorial. I am on the city in Sanctuary. No. How it is the city called, dude? Sacramento. I am in the city, dude. And the tutorial, the first boss, all of that was awesome. I loved it, dude. When is Dota 2 game nights? Brother, when I have nothing else to do, bro. When I have basically fucking nothing else to do. Or when because you have to remember that I have to smartly use my streaming time because I am only streaming for like 2 hours a night. But if I get to the point where I can stream for longer, right? I can invest more time into this, then I can do more shit. And if I can do more shit, hey, the sky is the limit, right? Your prediction, are they going to fix one death bullshit in their announcement, brother? Ace, brother, you are awesome, dude. Like, the way you wrote bullshit, like, miming me, it is awesome. It made me laugh, dude. That is awesome, dude. Your prediction, are they going to fix one death bullshit in their announcement stream tonight? I don't know if they are going to fix exactly the one death bullshit, but they are going to do something about the punishment of death, right? Something. They are going to death is going to be less punishing. I think they are going to do something about how punishing death is right now. They are going to improve it somehow. You gotta teach me, brother. Yes, brother, I can teach you. I have to tell you, Dota is a really hard game and the learning curve is steep. Like, you have to play a lot of matches to get into the flow. And the first 10 to 50 matches, you are not going to have fun. Unless you match with new players. But there is always one motherfucker on the team that is not new. So yes, it is a little bit of a steep learning curve, dude. But once you get there, it is awesome. Like, the problem with Dota 2 is this, and with Dota in general, when it was Dota 1 also, it is that it has provided me personally with my highest highs that I have felt the rush of adrenaline and dopamine or whatever while gaming, Dota 2 has given me that. But at the same time, the lowest low where I wanted to just fucking quit gaming and never play a fucking game again was also while playing Dota. And the proportion is like 2-to-1 towards the bad shit. Like 2 times you are mad because everything sucks, and 1 time you are happy because everything is great, you know. But there are games where you just come back from mega creeps. If you know what, in League of Legends, when you break the inhibitors, if you break the 3 inhibitors, like your minions are cracked, right? But in League of Legends, the inhibitors come back up. In Dota 2, they don't come back up. If you break what is basically the inhibitors, they are called barracks, you get what is called mega creeps, and it is for the rest of the fucking game. Coming back from a mega creep is really fucking hard to do. Basically, everybody says, I did mega creep, I won the game. Like, that is like a win condition. But you can come back from that. It is really hard, but you can do it. When you come back from a fucking mega creep, dude, you feel like you are the biggest, baddest motherfucker on earth, you know? It is insane. Like, there is no highest high that I have ever experienced while gaming that coming back from a fucking mega creep, dude. Are you getting on a diet soon? Yes, dude. I was due to start like 10 days ago. But then I got sick, and I didn't want to do it while I was sick. And I am going to do the keto diet, and I still have like some shit that has carbs in it. So I am going to eat that shit, like so it doesn't go to waste. And then I am going to start the keto diet at least for 1 or 2 months, because I don't like being fat sucks, dude. Being fat sucks. I want to lose weight. I play League, and Dota is way too complex for me to get into. Yeah, bro, the learning curve is steep. You can do it, but you really want to do it. If you are going to invest the time, it's because you are going to really like the game. And brother, let me tell you, I have played Dota for a long time. And again, it has provided me with my highest highs in gaming. It is still not worth it. Fuck that. I play it because I already know how to play it. But if I was going to get into Dota today, I wouldn't do it. Fuck that shit. Because it takes a long time to learn, dude. To start to have fun. So you will like spend 100 hours playing the game with a little bit of fun. Nah, fuck that. But hey, if you still want to learn, I can teach you. I don't give a fuck.
Seriously considering for your league starter in 0.2.0, assuming it dodges the nerf bat, and the endgame performance of this build is not so oppressively good that grinding gear games would be under any real pressure to nerf it. So it's entirely plausible that this dodges a nerf bat and ends up being one of the best choices to start in 0.2.0. Who knows though, maybe it will end up getting nerfed, maybe something else will get buffed past it, or maybe one of Archmage, Hand of Wisdom in Action, and Trample Toe either gets not nerfed at all or gets under-nerfed, and in that case, that particular build choice will end up squeezing out Infernalists from consideration for a lot of people. Anyways, some final thoughts. If there are no substantial nerfs to Hand of Wisdom in Action, play a Hand of Wisdom in Action build. If there's no substantial nerfs to Trample Toe, play that build. If there's no substantial nerfs to Archmage, then play Archmage. But if those 3 extreme outliers are dealt with, then we can expect to see a lot more build diversity in 0.2.0. Something that's really been missing in this meta overview, where there's essentially been 3 ways that players have been scaling their damage, plus a small 4th one when it comes to the Infernalist. That's all I've got on this. May your Varlorbs have interesting results.
Yo, brother. Oh. I also want them to really shake up the meta. And I think it will happen because you have to understand there are several ways you can change everything. And they are going to do several things. They are going to probably change the skill tree, the passive skill tree. They are going to probably change the Atlas skill tree, the way you play the game, the way you want to kill shit. They are going to nerf and buff uniques. They are going to nerf and buff classes, nerf and buff skills. They are going to bring new stuff that we don't know if it will be too OP, and that will become the coolest stuff, right? Like, I think the meta will look completely different because there are too many variables that are going to be new and changed to not be different. The only way it doesn't happen is if they allow Ingenuity to still be the top dog and Hands of Wisdom and Pillar of the Cage God, and everything repeats itself. But brother, They are not going to let that happen, right? Right? They are not going to let that happen, right, dude? But yes, this was an awesome video. I love Sirgov's videos. They are fucking awesome. I watch almost all of them. So thank you very much for the video, my dude. Awesome video before going into the new era of fucking PoE 2, you know? Hey, guys. Thank you for everything. You guys are fucking awesome. God bless ya. And remember, don't be afraid ever, because this is just a ride.